Indie Beacon Radio with hostess Charlotte Canion. Welcome to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. You can send questions for each show on Twitter using the hashtag IndieBeacon. Now sit back and enjoy learning about our guest for this show.
I'm your host, Charlotte Canion, the author of the 2018 best self-help book, You Have to Laugh to Keep from Crying, How to Parent Your Parents. Today, our guest is Susan. Susan is the author of the book, Nameless Women of the Bible, and your other one is, I can't see the Christian, Watching Movies with Christian Eyes. Should have remembered that, but it was a little bit tiny there. Welcome to the show, Susan. How are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
Good. We're going to start out. We want our listeners to know, who you are and a little bit about your background. So tell us, about your family and, just where you came from.
I was born in Houston, and but I grew up in the country, out on a farm, and met my husband through a mutual friend who played matchmaker, and we just celebrated our 35th wedding anniversary.
So it worked.
It worked. And we've got 3 great kids and a grandson.
Those are precious.
So yeah. I spend my time spoiling them. That's what I like to do in my spare time.
Well, I'm going to one-up you a little bit. I have 20 grandchildren and 3 greats. I've been at it longer, but I probably have 20 years on you.
Well, I think the one is all I'm going to get, so I'm just going to love him all the more.
That's right. That's right. You know what? I actually envy people that have 1, 2, or 3, because I always get their names mixed up. They're always,
no.
Lauren say, no, I'm London. London says, no, I'm Lauren. And it's
Oh, well.
Give us a little background of when you started writing. Did you start young, or is it something new?
No, I never dreamed that I would write. I really never did. After I turned 40, my kids were grown and starting to go to college and everything, and I just had a passion to learn more than what I was learning in a Sunday sermon. And so I spoke with my pastor about it, and he said, you need to go to Concordia Lutheran College, Concordia University. And I said, hello, I'm a Lutheran, Missouri Synod, no women pastors. He goes, no, you're not going to be a pastor. He says, you're just going to study theology. And I said, perfect. So I took 3.5 years of classes and had a great time. I loved every minute of it.
Oh, I bet you can run a really good Bible study.
I just had so much fun. One of the classes I took was how to write a Bible study. And I was teaching a Bible class at the church we were members of at the time, and I found this really cool study on the movie Avatar. The movie had just come out like the year before, and somebody did a Bible study on it. You watch 20 minutes, and then you do a Bible study. Each week, you would watch 20 minutes of the movie, and then do a study on what you'd seen. And after about 4 weeks, the class is like, oh, I'm getting tired of it, And I thought, if each movie was 1 week, that would be awesome. I could totally do that. So I did.
So that's kind of what your book is
about? And that's where Watching Movies with Christian Eyes came from. There are 30 lessons, 30 movies, and I have taught all but 2. And each one, you don't have to watch the movie. That's the great thing about it. People see this and they're like, oh, I don't like movies. Well, you don't have to watch the movie. The beginning of each study tells you what the movie's about. And then you delve into the issues that the characters are dealing with. Mm-hmm. You have revenge, you have right to life, you have sacrifice, you have love and hate and all this kind of stuff. And And then you look into the Bible and say, what does God say? How does God say I should handle this? And then you discuss it, and you kind of see, you can see God in every genre. If you look for him, he's there. He's everywhere. He is so encultured in our lives. And so you just start seeing God. And that's how I started the book. It was about 5 years after I stopped teaching that class that a friend of mine came up to me and he goes, do you know I'm still seeing God in movies? And that touched my heart like nothing ever did. And I thought, maybe I should publish. And now we have this.
Now you have that book.
Yeah.
Is there like any particular passages in the book or any particular stories or any particular movies that trigger that more people relate to than others, or that becomes their favorites?
It's written in a way, there's every genre in here that you can think of, just about, except for anime. I never got into anime. But there's horror, there's classics, there's romance, there's fiction, there's just every genre. And there's so many of them. You can take your pick. You don't have to do them all. You don't have to do them in order. Each one is a self-contained study. So you just take your pick, do whatever movies you feel like doing. And my daughter told me that she's gone through here, and some of these movies she's had to watch after she's done the study. So, because they were just so interesting. So
is there one that's your favorite?
My favorite movie is in here. It's A Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods.
It's a horror movie.
Okay.
You know, teens go in the woods in a cabin and they get killed by psychopaths, and
okay,
God is there.
I was into your Avatar, but I'm not into the horror.
I love horror movies. I really do.
Okay.
But,
well, and we know that the Bible has a lot of those in it.
It does. It does.
It definitely does, especially the Old Testament.
Mm-hmm.
And the New as well, but the Old Testament has a lot of horror.
Yeah, the Bible is not rated G. I mean, and so it's a way for you to actually, all of these except for maybe 2 or 3 were picked by my class. They had so much fun. I said, look, I'm going to do this. My first one was Groundhog Day. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this. Give me some movies. And so they all started giving me their favorite movies. And I was cranking these things as fast as I could. And
okay, I think you told us earlier, and I may have slipped over my head and might have some of our listeners, how many different movies or how many different stories do you cover in your book?
There's about 30.
30 different movies. And they cover every genre.
Yeah. I did not have a romance, so I had to go back and do a couple more to make 30. I had like 28. And so I did my favorite romance, which is While You Were Sleeping, with Sandra Bullock.
Right.
So I did that one. And
you call that a romance?
Yeah. Totally. It takes them a while to figure it out. But,
right.
The first one, the first study is called Real Faith. It's about looking at why Christians should take movies seriously, what you should look for in the movies, and how to share your faith with people. Because after you see a movie, what do? You say, how'd you like it? What was your favorite part? Who was your favorite actor? It's a good way for you to share your faith. After we were looking at certain movies with my class, after a few lessons, they would go, hey, that's just like the flood, or that's just like what happened to Saul. They were getting it. Their mind was clicking that, they were seeing similarities.
Did you use any of the movies that really are Christian in your book?
There's some, like The Green Mile. That's a very Christian movie. Also, let's see, some of these were the Lord of the Rings. There's a lot of
Right.
Christianity.
Based,
The
yeah.
Chronicles of Narnia.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the Chronicles. I love all of the Chronicles. Those are
Yeah.
just amazing.
Yeah.
And you know, you didn't mention the word, but one thing about all of these, and I'm sure that's what you got to, was the moral to all of this. In other
Yes.
words, they walk through that genre, they walk through that journey, and
Yes.
they come to a moralistic answer. They come to a moralistic analogy of what made that movie good and why that story affects our lives. Like you say, it really doesn't matter what the movie is. There's something, we're watching it because it's interesting, and there's probably something relatable or something within our family or maybe our lives that we relate to.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, you know, we go through some of these same issues like right to life. And okay, well, this has Bible passages in it where you can see what God says about that. As a Christian, what is should my opinion be on this? And it's, you know, it can help. I hope it can help.
Oh, I'm sure it is. And now your book has been out how long?
It came out last February.
Last February. Okay. Well, we're going to take a break here. This is Charlotte Canion, and we're speaking with Susan. You stay tuned, and you're going to hear a lot more about her new book that is called Nameless Women of the Bible.
The 5th annual Authors Marketing Event is coming to Granbury, Texas, July 24th through the 27th. Join us and learn from the professionals how to properly market and sell yourself and your books. Go to ame.authorsmarketingguild.com for all the details. That's ame.authorsmarketingguild.com.
I'm Rox Berkey.
And I'm Charles Brakefield. We're award-winning co-authors, Brakefield and Berkey, of the Enigma book series. There are 10 books in the series, with book number 11 planned for release in January 2020.
Each story has a central technology focus ranging from identity theft to cryptocurrency and now AI wars. These adult techno thrillers pit cyber good guys against cyber thugs across the darknet.
In our world, technology is today's weapon of choice. You can enjoy ebook format, paper, or Audible. We want your feedback.
Until the next story, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, hello there, my friends. My name is Randy James, independent voiceover producer in the Dallas, Texas area, available to write and record a 30-second commercial, much like the one you're hearing right now. It's a great way to help increase awareness and exposure to your book title. It's easy to do. Simply call me and we'll brainstorm on a few ideas, and in a few hours, I'll whip something up and send you a digital file ready to use. Remember, call or text me, Randy James, at 214-762-1942. Join award-winning author Ari Brish presenting his book Lay an Egg and Make Chicken Soup at the Lone Star Festival, a Texas-sized event at the Event Complex in Seguin, Texas on May 30th, 2020. Check out the lineup of authors, artists, and bands at lonestar.bookfestival.network, sponsored by Authors Marketing Guild. City of Seguin, Texas, Dear Texas, IndieLector.store, and HEB. Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
This is Charlotte Canion, and we've got the pleasure of speaking with Susan. And in this segment, we're going to talk about her latest book, which is called Nameless Women of the Bible. Now, that intrigued me because I know there's a lot of women in the Bible, but you talk about the nameless women.
Yes.
Now, tell us how that concept came about.
That was my pastor's idea. I had written my first book, the studies for watching movies, and it had been a couple of years later. My husband was transferred to Victoria, and so I came down here, and it took me 8 months to find a job, and during that 8 months, I was going stir crazy. So I called my pastor and I said, give me something to do. And he says, write a study on nameless women in the Bible. He goes, I've never seen one done on that topic before. And I said, thank you. And I got started, and there's only 12. I picked 12. There's so many women in the Bible that have no name. but I picked 12, and there you go. So it's much smaller. But it's a study for women. It's mainly for women, about other women, wives, mothers, daughters, and not the usual. There's a few very familiar ones, but I have shown this to some pastors, and they go, "Who's that?" I mean, they don't recognize them, and I'm like, "Oh, you got to study the book, you know." But you know, some of these women are given a whole chapter. Some of these women are given one verse, but they still have stories to tell, and we can learn from them. We can learn what they did right, and we can learn what they did wrong. So most of the reaction I get the first time from a person is, "Oh, the woman at the well." I'm like, "No, but she's the most popular nameless woman." I'm like, "Didn't do her." Sorry, you're just gonna have to do with the others. So
Tell them to write their own.
yeah, exactly. The woman at the well was it just seemed too easy. It wasn't much of a challenge.
Well, share with us one of the women that you think was maybe the most overlooked and maybe had one of the most intriguing and impactful stories.
My favorite was Jephthah's daughter. That's the one that most people don't realize. She was mentioned in Hamlet. It's a story about a man who went off to fight his enemy, and he told God that if you give me victory, I will kill the first person that comes out of my house when I get back home. And so he went to victory, and he won, and he came back, and his daughter, his only child, came out to meet him. And he told her what he did, and she says, "Give me time." She was very young. She was still a virgin. She goes, "Give me time to go to the mountains with my friends and mourn my virginity, and then I'll come back and you can do God's will. You can kill me." Wow.
Okay.
So yeah, she just, all kinds of respect for her.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and there's all kinds of stories about men, similar to that,
Mm-hmm.
where God commands him to kill, but then he takes it back. I have a hard time thinking God's going to tell you to kill somebody, but
You gotta be careful what you promise. You just.
that's true, and especially in the Old Testament, they were more true to their word.
They didn't have the respect for children that people do today. I mean, they practiced infant exposure. They would leave their kids just out somewhere laying on the ground, and just if they had too many of them, children weren't thought of as a person until they were old enough to work, to earn their living. Before that, they were just a pain, and they were just worthless, human beings.
Well, I'd never thought about that, but I know that large families, say 100 years ago, as a child was born, the oldest one would take care of they would take care of the younger ones, and then when they were old enough to work in the fields, that's why they were procreated. And they wanted more boys because they worked harder in the fields.
Exactly.
They didn't want the women, and I think we have that in some of the countries. Women are not valued as much. Sometimes I think we women in America think more of ourselves than we should, but there needs to be a balance somewhere.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the women and children were kind of regarded as, secondhand, lesser humans. So
yeah. Well, do you have anything on the horizon? Do you have another book that you're working on?
Actually, I do, and it's called. I had so much fun writing the first one that my next one I'm working on now is watching movies with Christian eyes too. TOO, like they do with movie sequels. They do TOO. But this one is going to be for teens and young adults.
Okay.
and it's going to be movies that they're more familiar with, and the questions and the Bible verses are going to deal with dating, parent-child relationships, your first job. It's, that kind of thing. It's going to be geared to them and their mindset and their life at the time. And
Now, are you going to use any of the movies like made for TV, like 90210, those that are the teenagers watched on TV, or just
no, I thought about,
on the big screen?
I actually, my niece is about this age, and I asked her, I said, okay, what are kids watching now? And she goes, the girly movies from the 70s and 80s. And I'm like, oh, you mean I gotta watch those again?
And well, they watch horror too.
It's like, I can't believe they're coming back.
There is a new generation that does like some of the older movies.
They do. It's all the teen flicks,
Have you written a chapter yet?
I've done a few. I did one. I try to do a wide variety because it's going to be for boys and girls and all different walks of life. I mean, all different interests, and Christian and maybe not Christian. And I'm hoping that, I picture it done for youth groups, but maybe somebody that's not a Christian would be interested in it. Maybe it would help them. So I just picked the wide variety. I have Beauty and the Beast, the live version, and then I have Aladdin, the animated version, and things like Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and just fun movies.
Well, when you mentioned the 70s, I think of some of the Doris Day and Rock Hudson. Are they before?
Oh, that's a little before that.
Okay. I'm going. I haven't seen those on the air. I'm trying to think of what the 70s were. Except I think Star Wars came out in the 70s.
It's the teen crush. Like, she's not that into you, and it's the ones where the girl is the duff, the designated ugly fat friend, and all the movies with the teen girls and the good-looking guys, and
So you're going to delve into that. Well, I wish you all the luck. God bless you.
I'm gonna need it. Yeah, I didn't even like these back when they came out in the 70s and 80s. That's okay.
Well, that's right. You've already told us you like horror movies. When are you going to write a horror book? I mean, it sounds like you're going to be there.
See,
well, Susan,
I wanted to put Final Destination in there, but my daughter said no, that was going too far.
Okay, we've got to take a break here. Hang loose with us. We're going to take a break and hear from our sponsors. This is Charlotte Canion.
Thank you for watching or listening to Indie Beacon Radio. Our sponsor, IndieLector.store, is the only bookstore that pays authors their fair share for book sales. Help authors to succeed and enjoy a great book by supporting them at IndieLector.store. Enjoy a 10% discount with coupon code SHOPPER20 at IndieLector.store. Coupon valid until December 31st, 2020. That's IndieLector.store, coupon code SHOPPER20.
What would you do if you had to put your life on hold to care for a loved one? I'm Charlotte Canion, award-winning author of the book, You Have to Laugh to Keep from Crying, How to Parent Your Parents. That was a question I had to ask myself some 16 years ago, and you'll have to ask the same question. I had a father-in-law with dementia, a mother with Alzheimer's, and a dad with Parkinson, all at the same time.
We Fiction is a fun, fast-paced writing contest for any author team to create a book based on what readers submit for plot, characters, locations, and even plot twists. Learn more about this unique contest at wefiction.dearindie.org.
Authors Marketing Guild is a membership-owned organization designed to help authors succeed and learn how to better market and sell themselves and their books. Join us at authorsmarketingguild.com and receive so many benefits you'll wonder why you didn't join sooner. That's AuthorsMarketingGuild.com.
Welcome back to Indie Beacon Radio. Don't forget to like us, follow us, or subscribe to one of our many channels. Now, here is your host for today's show.
This is Charlotte Canion, your host, and we're speaking with Susan. Susan, we've talked about your books and your upcoming books, but people need to know how they can get where they can get your books, how they can reach out to you, and you know what's coming up. So can you give us your website and a few places we can find your books?
Yeah, my books are available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and I make appearances around Texas throughout the year. My website address, it's kind of long. It's sites, sites.google.com/view/growing in faith with Susan. It's got on there my appearances. It's got a video of my first book. My blog is on there. I try to write a blog once a week, and there's a guest book where people can sign and say hello and what they think. It also has reviews that people have written about my books. Can be found on the guest book. My email is susan.maluschka@gmail.com.
You want to spell Maluschka for us?
Maluschka. Just like it sounds.
And what nationality is that?
It's Czech.
Czech. Oh, okay. I should have with Maluschka. Yes, yeah. I should have figured that one out. And my husband said earlier to tell you that most of his ancestors came from Gonzales County. So I know that's, you know right where that's at.
Well, not really. My family came from Lee County. I'm a German.
But you live in Victoria, right?
I married a Czech. I've only been here about 4 years.
Oh, okay. Okay. So. He thought you were born and bred there.
No. Houston, we lived in Houston for 35 years.
Well, I lived in Clear Lake City, so I know Houston very well. And yeah, it's just skipping a jump to the coast.
Yeah.
Well, Susan, thank you very much for the interview. You've been a pleasure. This is Charlotte Canion. And I want you to remember, a rose is like a book. You can't know its beauty until you open it. And a book is like a rose. You won't know its full beauty until you read it.
Thank you for listening to Indie Beacon Radio, where creative souls can find help in marketing their creations. To learn more about Indie Beacon services, to be a guest on the show, or to advertise on our show, please visit our website.
Indie Beacon Radio with hostess Charlotte Canion. Indie Beacon Radio is produced by B. Allen Bourgeois for Authors Marketing Guild LLC, copyright 2020. Voiceover by Randy James, Lydia Bello, and B. Allen Bourgeois. To be a sponsor of the show or for more information, please email us at info@authorsmarketingguild.com. To be interviewed for the show, please complete the form at radio.authorsmarketingguild.com. Music Always Rejoice by Ramcord